Okay, everybody, let's see if this is going to work with a few screen shares this time. I've got some thoughts. Woke up early, my mind racing about the fact that I'm sending this out to really everybody. I want to just bring a perspective that I'm not even close to hearing out there. This is a crypto related, regulation related situation with everything from crypto to what we're dealing with the essential pressure to social pressure, all kinds of pressure to get the vaccines, and quick. It's coming up. The Delta's coming. It is more contagious, it looks like, and that's spreading around the globe. And then we have the Lambda, if that doesn't work, to get most people pushed over. So it's just it's a very acute time. I think everybody would agree with that. And I just want to make sure that this is working. Hopefully you can see my screen, which is the news from August 13th, 2021 from Binance. And what I'm going to get into here a little bit is that I feel that the American people, of which I am one, should actually, instead of those of us that are cryptocurrency investors and have been for some time, everybody's shaking in their boots. And that includes the biggest exchange in the world, Binance, which I love those guys. CZ has just done an incredible job with that growth curve and keeping such a tight ship, but also, they're essentially autonomous from what I understand in terms of a home. And if they do have a home, I think the last that I saw it probably is the Caymans, or maybe it was Singapore. It's not the United States. And Binance was starting to get pressure back in 1819 from the fear mongering of the US regulators and our politicians, which we're seeing this week. And I want to come at this thing from a little bit of a different angle, but it's true. So everybody's on the defensive with this, shadow of the US government, the far reach of the government, about things that they have no business being involved in, meaning Binance.com versus Binance.us. Binance.us is useless for any of us that already have Coinbase or any of the other major exchanges. You cannot buy the lower tiered market capitalization or just newer tokens and coins that launch on Binance.com. They've got the biggest array. They're the biggest exchange in terms of volume in the world for a reason. And initially, back in the day when I was accumulating positions, I think it was 2018, after we went below 8,000, my process and framework, which I communicated, was to consistently chip away at accumulating positions in Bitcoin, Ethereum. And that's when I was also doing a lot of work on altcoins, okay, and buying them. And I'm going to show you a person, I don't know exactly who it is, that's a friend of one of my clients that, he had these accounts. One of these was mine from 2018, but he had the same opportunity, being from another country that was not the United States. The bans that you see from residents around the world in these exchanges that are sensitive to, or have been threatened by, or are really fearful of what the US regulators will do, or the laws. Like, the thing is that we need to talk about this, because this last week with the infrastructure bill, let's just get down to business. What the fuck is a cryptocurrency, the most complicated new technology that has taken me thousands of hours to get a grasp on, and you chuck it in the back of an infrastructure bill to pay for it, taxing people that it's impossible to tax? They cannot enforce barely any of this stuff, guys. It is ridiculous. And so everybody is being so accommodative. And I really think what we may want to consider because this is happening. We just had a call with some of our tier 3 crypto newsletter folks and tier 2 the last 2 days, going through Q&A and chats and just keeping up. And we have residents of Ontario, Canada, that are just getting the rug pulled from out of them. Binance is treating them just like a U.S. person because of the very, very heavy-handed regulation going on in Ontario. And it's not exactly the same in terms of severity throughout the country in Canada, but you're also seeing this all over. You've got like the UK and it was Ireland and some other countries that shot off warnings to Binance this last couple of weeks, and that is why what occurred. I was very disappointed to see this, but I can't blame CZ. But I do think that there is going to come a time very soon where, with all of the absolute insanity, not to mention across the board in our world, just the darkness, the restrictions, the isolation, the forcing people to make a choice on this or that. We have a two-party political structure here in the US, of which I am not a member of either one. And my conclusions over the recent months have been put together piece by piece. And that is, some of them are very firm. And one that I would have you consider: the two-party political system in the United States is done. It's over. I already see it. It's just a question of how it shakes out and what ends up happening. Just like our entire financial system is going to be, it's essentially going to be either destroyed and built from the ground up, and or it will essentially dissolve here and build up there, and it's going to completely rebuild itself with some of the centralized characters who've adapted. But all of it, all of this stuff deals with taking the meat, the scraps that every single centralized entity takes from us. Whether that's banking is clear, but as an entrepreneur, you don't really want to pay 3% to Visa or PayPal on all of your transactions. Then we've got, with taxes and with all these other different things going through centralized vehicles, which we've had to do with the banks. We actually don't have to do that at all anymore. It's just a question of time with adoption, where there's nobody in their right mind who is going to be, just loaded up in a bank that has any, like rationality and common sense to them, sitting in a traditional bank collecting, if you're in Germany, you're paying them to hold your money. I mean, this is insanity, folks. And you're dealing with fiat currencies that are, if you look at the numbers, and I'm not going to get into that here, but I've seen some updates on the trillions and trillions for this and for that in America that has been printed out, just in just this year. The whole thing, I'm not a doomsdayer like Venezuela, this or that, or Zimbabwe, but every fiat currency in history goes to zero, or it gets reset and you get a new form of fiat currency that has to restart because they're diluted to nothing. They're diluted to piss. And then on top of that, we're being lied to. The American people and most people around the world, they don't understand how any of this works. I happen to really love sound money and monetary policy. And, it's just been something that I learned a long time ago. It's very simple, and I think all the common people are going to understand it better. We have this free information, anything you want. You can have a Harvard education on YouTube and pay nothing, or you can go to Harvard, but we have access to everything. And that's why folks are just so damn lazy listening to some other person who has their narrative on all this different stuff. And we have these structures of our worldview around a world that is going to be entirely different and or just completely gone. I have done enough homework and work on this stuff, and this was a perfect storm for me, because my entire career in learning capital markets and investing, it was a combination of tech and early stage and late stage venture capital. I've been an angel investor for a long time. I ran a VC division alongside of, we were doing late stage venture bets alongside of Kleiner Perkins at EA, benchmarked the best and brightest in Silicon Valley as an investment bank, and offered that out in pieces and, single purpose vehicles that special purpose vehicles that essentially we would put together. And it was an innovative thing. I mean, I had access to shares in LinkedIn at $20 a share pre-IPO in this secondary market that was really, innovated by Second Market, which is now Grayscale. Those guys are ahead of these technological curves. I will love to talk to them or Michael Saylor about gold one of these days, because they're just ruining a very big pocket of capital coming in sooner by making it an enemy, when the enemy, folks, is fiat currency that is being printed by governments that are completely inefficient. And one comment that was like a sort of a light bulb moment, but also just a confirmation, because I was playing with this, is Raul Paul at Vision. I saw one of his interviews recently that he was going through the mechanisms of the NFT market, which, let's just be real. If you've got a what is it? The Senate was there. I don't think we still have to go to the House with this bullshit. I mean, look at some of the stuff that's in that infrastructure bill. This stuff they are wasting our money. They are stealing our money in a lot of cases. I don't even care about that. If they were efficient at all, and the whole crypto situation, and what I'm getting at right now, why Americans should be infuriated, is because they have been jailing us from having access to the tokens that I'm going to show you, have created massive amounts of wealth before our eyes. And because of everybody's fear, Binance right here, they've got this, announcement to launch. This is June of 19. And that was because, let's pull it up. Guess what? They were scared shitless by, let me see, where is it? It disappeared on me, which is the other Binance announcement about the frozen accounts that were done about 5 to 6 months earlier. And I'm just going to have to go a little slow here and find where I've got this. There we go. There were thousands of banned Binance customers remain cut off by the exchange. This is in January of 2019. Let me take you to the spreadsheet. I don't know so this was when the ban happened. If you're going back to 18, that was where I requested a statement from some of my transactions, but we were banned. And look what happened to people in other nations that were on top of this. I can tell you right now, I've been a professional investor since I'm 20 years old. I had a Series 7 license and became a stockbroker. I love this stuff. I've had to cut my teeth in ways that nobody will imagine, but it's given me amazing insight, having gone through and started and watching the internet boom and having an understanding of network effects and how that mania played out. And it got so big going into 2000 because it saw the market is a mechanism looking into the future. It got way ahead of itself and was a crazy bubble. I've never seen anything like it. You can't sniff the move into 2018 top in January with crypto. It didn't last long enough. I don't know what the percentages were compared to what we went through with the internet stocks. I guess that was a pretty brief run too, but that one at least extended about 4, 5, 6 months, and it was actually building up when I was a total rookie. And I was like, what the hell is this Yahoo thing? What is this Netscape thing? We're so resistant to the new ideas and have no clue. We have no clue what's coming, but the market did. And that's why it got so far ahead of itself when it popped, because there was reason for it. It's completely changed our lives in 20 years. I was using a fax machine to send, clients or an investor a document to basically sign, open an account, whatever. A phone that was a desktop phone. There was really no cell phones of decent size. The mobile world wasn't there. You didn't have the internet with e-commerce and information, all this stuff. We had one Quotron in a room with 4 brokers that could check, every once in a while. And the first firm I worked for, they had 2 in an office of like 70 guys, like you'd have to walk over to the Quotron. This is like, imagine using no internet, no email, no search, none of these tools, no e-commerce at this point in our lives. I mean, we are so, it's like crack for me. I have to take breaks from, this download of all this information, and it's speeding up. And, so I just want to get this out there, because what I think is going to happen, I forgot, and I'm a little bit moving on to these. I've got so much of this information, like with regard to my conclusions, my thoughts on how all of this stuff is, like affecting us and where it's going and all these different things. And I've done so much work and absorbed so much information. What I try to do with my people, Gold Investment Letter, the crypto newsletters, I started off, kind of a winging situation last November, which has been insane and profitable for everybody. But the thing is I try to condense this process, but it's very hard. We all have to go through it. You're learning something new that is going to completely everything. Listen, one thing I can tell everybody, at least from my vantage point, and I make some pretty damn big calls. I'm wrong, but I'm in a high risk. I don't care about losses. They don't matter. I could lose in the mining sector. If we have 10 picks in the junior area and 5 of them go to zero, which normally none of them do, because they're small and we can fund them ourselves if there's value there. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just using an extreme example. 5 of them go to zero, and you have, one of them cut in half, one of them was down 10%. And then the last 3, you had a mixture of a double, a quadruple, and a 15 bagger. Your overall return on investment, is annually, depending on how long that plays out over, is fantastic. You're blowing away the best fund managers in the world. And we've done that year after year, even though it's not a formalized process at the Gold Investment Letter. We haven't, marked these things, but I'm going through and actually looking at a lot of this data. That's what I've been doing to gather it up, because it's important. Because, the fact of the matter is, I have plenty of opportunities to go after. But when I started to dig into this crypto thing, they kept going further and further and further. And the comment from Raul was simply this. He was giving an example about the tokenization of culture, of customers. He's got, I think, with that area, he's been right spot on with his calls, with a lot of things. And I had gone, most of I've been mostly silent with this free e-letter for probably a year, except for the videos. And I would encourage you to subscribe to YouTube, because not a lot of this stuff goes out to the premium members, but it is on YouTube, and there's a lot of the free ones. And I would announce a good amount of those when it was relevant going into the fall, because I put the full court press on, like Last Chance, over and over and over, gave my, diatribes on this being what I thought it was going to be. And it has played out that way. And it has made me very, 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 very wealthy. I've had more, it's insane. It's really just insane. And the point is, the way that I'm able to do that is I do this for a living. There are so many like seeming complexities. It's a new thing. If you want to get the smaller tokens, okay, the ones that a lot of them Binance offers in one place, very convenient. It's the biggest exchange in the world, and I think the best, because they give you those opportunities, but it's very rare, I'm sure, that we're going to deal with like, a scam that came and applied. It'll happen, but they are the smartest group of screeners, mixing the balance of opportunity for people, and then also, they're these guys with the Binance Smart Chain and everything else on BNB, for example. Let me pull this up. Look at so this is one of them. And with Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously, we can go ahead and get access to this stuff. So now you're going back to 19, and BNB is fine. That was this is like just an example of, and I don't even know if I needed to go to this one. I think there was a highlighted BNB action. So yeah, here. So you're talking about, going back to late 19. There's a purchase here in the beginning of Q2 2019, and we had, BNB to BTC. You had to buy it, or you could buy it. Usually BTC buys everything. So either you can send BTC into the exchanges, Ethereum, or convert them to stablecoin. Sometimes the, USDT, the Tether, the other stable coins were not there yet here in, if I recall, maybe they were coming or they were starting. But, if it was, you had BTC, you could buy the BNB. And in this particular case, it was not massive positions. It was, well, you're looking at 50, maybe 400 BNB. So the price at that time, like if we're going to go back to October, November 19, let's just take a peek, because the wealth creation, folks, that when we start to go down a little bit lower into the caps, market capitalizations of, some of these plays that have created, we're talking cumulatively, I haven't done the exact numbers, but hundreds of billions of dollars in wealth for those that have participated in these markets, had access, versus somebody like me who would have to go down a rabbit hole of learning how to use DeFi, things like Compound and Uniswap, and having wallets off exchange and things like that. I much preferred having a Binance account and doing it all in one place and figuring that stuff out later. But if you look at Binance, let's see. So this is one that I know that my cost average over time, it was probably around $18, because, it got very, very cheap there briefly with the COVID dip. But back in 19, this thing basically was trading between, I recall it, sort of in the low teens, and then we went up into the 20s and 30s briefly, came back down. But I had accumulated this, like the other plays, with a system of, taking positions essentially regularly, to accumulate what I liked as they popped to the top of the list, with a mixture of blue chips and the flyers, which I love. I love venture. I love risk. I'm a risk taker, and I'm very comfortable with it. And there's nobody, I bet, there is nobody on the Senate or House floor, or at the SEC, that is going to be able to have a conversation about how to make a lot of money in all of these different tokens and coins and how it all works. They simply haven't had the time. They might be smarter than I am, but I also know this business. I don't need any help from a government employee, okay, or anybody for that matter. I take my information from very, very good sources that I've built out and screened over decades, mind you, and I'm a big boy. What the fuck do the US regulators, and it's going to be Congress and everybody is looking out, they're going to pay for their crap. The infrastructure bill is great. All of this stuff is spending money and diluting our currency. We pay for all these things. People do not understand that. I'm not going to get into the fiat, just the inflation that we actually have and have had, which is not going into the CPI up until this spring. And I think that's why we've seen massive moves in, I'm buying a house in Wisconsin back, some out a different area from where I'm from, which was, the other side of the tracks, but to be near my sister and my mother. And, this market took off like South Beach over the last 4 months since that CPI number started to come in. So in any event, I never looked at it that way, because you can see, if you do your work and you learn about this stuff, and do your homework and understand it and stick with it, you realize that the purchasing power of the US dollar, you can look at it. It doesn't matter what's in the CPI, it loses purchasing power. And if you're printing, I wish I had saved the number, the amount of, M1, M2 that has come out of the Fed. I mean, it's been remarkable, the scale since COVID. It has been remarkable, and things have changed. And so anyway, let me go on, and I'm going to wrap this up with what I want to show you and what I think is going to happen. And I don't know who's going to do it and when it's going to happen, but it's got to happen, and it should happen. Because what I'm saying is, the majority, if you're American or you're Ontario or whatever, you're in any other country, they're not letting you play. They need to get out of the way, okay? Because if you look at some of this stuff, it is incredible what kind of wealth creation has been occurring, is occurring, and will occur. And it's a one-time opportunity in our life, okay? I've been saying this for a while. And, the thing that Raul, I keep getting bumped off of this, said, giving an example about Disney, who, we can see it with the bankers and decentralized finance, where why do you want to pay all these fees and have a centralization that makes me, have myself or my assistant call when I try to send a wire like I do every 2 weeks to invest in something, in a private placement or a fund or whatever it is, an alternative investment, and they still shut it down. And it's a pending wire that gets canceled. We got to call and wait on hold for 45 minutes. Then the line clicks and you start over again. This is my money, so it's just, there's a big disconnect there. And it is what it is. The banking system, the two-party political system, if you want to know the best they can do, this is it. Sorry to tell you. You can keep shoving shit into, Democrat, we're going to get behind this guy or that girl or whatever it is. The best thing to do, which is what Raul said at the end of the day, I'll spare the Disney example on tokenization and how big it is and how everybody's going to get into the game, because it's just going to free up so much value creation and so many good things where you're not paying a centralized figure in that area like Facebook and Google to get in front of your own customers. You have a token and your customer base is incentivized. It's separate or different than the equity model, where you're still getting ownership of the business, but the customer model has got value as well. I don't know. And Raul kind of was like, I don't know exactly how it plays out. And I feel the same, but it is amazing what is coming. Okay. But he made a comment at the end where he's like, all this other stuff's going to go on, because the interviewer was asking, where's this going to go? And we can only see so far in the future, on this side of the veil. It's like, it's hard. It's fuzzy, as the Apostle Paul says, it's a little fuzzy here on this side. And there's only so many things you can see. I can see the bullet in the head of our entire, the way that we know our monetary system. I don't care about pointing out this person or that politician or this or that. The thing that I mentioned is they, because there are entities above whatever. We don't even need to speculate. We just need to look at what the system is that we're in. And we've been like the frog in the boiling water for so long. I think we are discounting how bad it is for the world and for us with this system. And it is going to get smashed. Okay. And there is going to be a new day and a new dawn because of, in the monetary sense, it's because of Bitcoin, which is the first one through the door, made it possible. And you got people that don't do their homework and say the MySpace and this. Look, this thing is very early and we're going to need time for the adoption. But the amount of money and efficiency and things that could really free up value for normal people, where they're not just getting cut out of everything. Poor people, like I grew up with a mother who's a hairdresser making between $12,000 and $18,000 a year, a dad who was sick, alcoholic, Vietnam veteran, and couldn't hold a job. And I'm getting on the phone with my friends at 5 o'clock at night and the phone is cut off, and then the power. And, I dealt with all that stuff, but it's a system, as we all know, with the poor and the corruption that we see all over the world. This stuff, it's not about saying, I'm not saying like, it's got to change, let's do this and that. I know it's gone. It's going away. This system, this wickedness in a lot of ways, with stealing from everybody with a silent hand, is not the end of the story. That's my belief. Okay. That's kind of a little bit of an obtuse one, but it's all together. We can feel it. We can see it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that things got crazy with, COVID and all that stuff, where our lives all changed forever. And then you had the crypto move, and all of a sudden, like, I'm dealing with this or that, or, people are depressed, you're isolated. There's all this stuff going on. It's not normal for us, but yet getting rich and wealthy with resources of people that are going to run the show and are running the show already. In the future here, and I'm talking about even now, there are a lot of people in crypto that know all these things. We've all been kind of back in the background. And then you've got the people with exchanges and things that are like touching the regulatory environment, looking at what they built, and they don't want to screw it up, So I get that. But if we look at reality, you look at somebody who's giving you orders at the airport, for example. I've had this test like a few times recently where I'm just thinking like, they've got this little taped line, and this little woman who hates her job, probably does not like her life very much, trapped at an airport, telling you, either to put your mask up or, just like, what are they going to do? There's nothing there. It's a very fake veil. And I'm not saying to do anything wrong. I'm talking about what is being taken from us in the name of like insanity and waste. I'm looking to create wealth to give and have generations, not of mine, but of ripples for things that are close to my heart. Because guess what? I'm more efficient and I'm more profitable than the US government or any big government. It's not their job. They're not business people, but it's gotten so corrupt. You look at this infrastructure bill and something so important to understand is crypto. The one thing I think it did tell us is that, yeah, we knew they were behind the curve because you have to put in the time, but they're so far behind the curve. What are they going to do? I think that the answer, which is I'll get to Raul's comment, he mentioned like we're going to kind of move on. It's going to separate. And the people with this already there, before the other adopters come in, we're going to be immune to it when the dollars and the fiat and all that stuff really starts to crumble, because the entire system, folks, is a house of cards. We know that the people that run the world, if you will, have talked openly about a great reset and stuff. It's not a conspiracy. There's no way out of this. It's just a fact. It's a runaway train. They can't reverse it. Just anybody who's got a lot of experience with global macro or any of this stuff, actually I think it could be very simply broken down for anybody that wants to learn, that's even a beginner. It's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious. And when Raul said immune, we'll be immune, I think that the way to get forward, to move forward, this has been like my personal revelations, is we just ignore them all. Well, we're going to come after you, CZ, and all of your customers, because they're trading on Binance and trying to make money for themselves, taking risk and investing and doing things the American way, financing tokens and trying to learn and bring money home to our nation. But we're going to go after them, and we're going to go after you and everybody in crypto, all the exchanges, all the DeFi people, all the miners. We'll throw them in there too. They took that out because they realized they're embarrassing themselves. We're already on to tunnels and DeFi and NFTs, and there's no way. The government does not have the ability. They're struggling. You think that people and the budgets that they have are, look at New York. You get more rats and garbage on the streets because the budgets have been cut with COVID. There's a double-edged sword. And even, people just give governments, regulators, politicians, especially the US government, too much credit. Like, they planned everything out. It's like some mechanism. First of all, it isn't the people. Those people are doing the best they can. In most cases, they're trying to do the best they can. They don't see all this stuff. This isn't their forte. But that said, there are things being imposed upon us and taken away from us. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of these profits that Americans didn't have access to, most likely, unless you were a maniac like me and had these other alternatives through back alleys of back alleys of back alleys to get some of this stuff on the books early. And some of it was just not possible. It wasn't doable unless it was on an exchange. So let's talk a little bit about what's part of what changed my life. You can look at some of this stuff because I was able to do this elsewhere. This is just examples that are in a spreadsheet from somebody that sent this over to me from one of our people. I don't know his name. I think it was Jack or Jill. But basically, you look at these prices, and if you break it down, I mean, the bottom line, I'll spare you the details. This is just looking at this stuff, doing some of the math, putting in Bakery token about $9,000 in these different transactions. And that was first, really, most of them were done the 9,000 in December, around the 9th. And I think with these, I don't know, but this stuff was put on the books because you could only buy it with BNB back in December. So you have to take the price of December 9th, and I'll show you that right now. You take the price of December 9th, and you're going to go back there and look. And, this is why all my sleepless nights last summer, it was for, I paid a price with just two, it was crazy and falling behind with things and in communication and relationships and all that stuff. But this obsessed me so much. I know that it did it. And I had that conviction. It was an extra like gift because these are the things I found out ahead of the curve of pretty much a lot of people, almost everybody. For the first time in my career, I'm the one who bought Bakery Token back in early December of last year at, where were we? A penny and a half. What do you know? That's my birthday, by the way, the 11th. A penny and a half. Where were these bought? What day was that? So that's the 9th. Okay, so we'll go to the 9th. You're talking about a penny and a half to $8. Okay, to $8 in that happened in May, but I have been mentioning that it was my first. So right here, I had taken. I didn't call this a 150x on all of my position. I sell things in a framework of pieces. I talk a lot about that with my subscribers, but this is a little different because I put a little bit of money in. I'm still looking to increase my allocation to a lot of the DeFi. I'm not as anxious to do the usual thing that I'll do, and I will encourage sell a third at a triple, take your principal out. Second, third, a couple of moves or X's behind that, a couple few, depending on what your style is or how much you want to lock it in profits sooner or later. And that last third, which is what a round I have with Bake. I sold off, I probably have a quarter of my initial position left, which is worth a lot of money. And also because of the nature of the fact that a lot of these are proof of stake. If you leave your tokens within the system, I'm not going to get into all this in this audio, but I've earned 15,000 bakery tokens since December. So it was at 14 or 13 and a half when I went to $8, or like came right around here at 5, and I put in like $9,000. You're talking about when you have 150x. So when I say that I locked that in, it was with at least a portion. I took profits in the mid sevens, like around that 725 to 750. It did go on the second up to like over $8. It was brief, fairly brief, and this thing was so parabolic. I was getting, because our crypto folks, I did get this recommendation out to everybody on the higher tiers, trying to rush to get a way to buy it and learn about how to buy it and all those things. And that was around 9 cents. And so people have made a decent percentage of those folks who paid a price to get into the club, because I wanted to see who was serious last November, because I knew in my stomach, in my beliefs, there's no guarantees in life. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to charge a little bit, see who's serious, because I'm about to dump wheelbarrows full of cash in their lap if they do it. And it's tough with all that stuff because people haven't spent the time, they don't have the comfort, and I'm relying on, trust me, because I've done the homework and this is what I'm doing. So here's the bottom line. So if you have bakery tokens and then you have Axie Infinities purchased in just December, 8 months ago, you see the 57, there was part of it in Bitcoin on the 21st. Let's see if that was cheaper, which I believe it was. What's the point on that? This is an NFT gaming play that is really, it's been very interesting because I'm not a gamer, but this is the type of stuff. And with Axie, I did sell it slowly in pieces. I didn't have a huge position. I think I put more money into it than Bake. But where were we? What was that date? Just to give you guys an idea, and these are facts of where these prices were coming from an off Excel, report from Binance. It's like, some of this stuff to keep track of, it's going to be worse than the brokerage firms when you're trying to file it all, because a lot of the small transactions and, it's getting there. But we've never had really clear rules. So guess what? You don't come in and ruin our fucking party after you even keep us out of the full game and tell us we owe all this money with no clarity. Coinbase was requesting what they're now, saying you have to do in 2017, asking for clarity. We should not deal with this nonsense. And so when you're looking at what was that one? I wanted to look at Axie real quick. That was the wrong one. That was on what is this here? That's Theta. That was another, was that a 200 plus X winner for me? Axie now trading over $70 a share. I just wanted to see what this 1221 for Bitcoin, what that converted out to real quick, because this is real. This is reality, guys. This has all happened in, look at this, November, December, the 9th, what was it, the 20 something? I don't know. This is where it was in USD. It was back down in the 50s. I had gotten some initially, I think, back in the low to mid 40s. I don't know where all that stuff is or where it went. It's not that organized, but if my cost average is 50 cents or 60 cents or whatever, and it's $70 a share, it's another hit for 150 baggers this year so far. And I've never had one before in my life. And I've had a lot of big winners. This is incredibly amazing. And I've been trying to, just essentially transfer my feelings to people that, know and trust me, saying, just get in the game, because you have to come in the door with Bitcoin. But there is a wealth of opportunity for those of us that are in this. And it's now, it's now. And really, when Raul said we'll be immune to it, my answer is anything that is with this old school system I look at. Oh, you want to fix that by going through this. I've had these problems from a city, Miami Beach, and then the county's got to approve, and the state. So much like simple things to thwart absolute utter disruption and nuisances. I'm talking about noise pollution from cars in Miami Beach, to put 3 speed bumps in an area that would reduce it by 70%. And it wouldn't even cost anything. It would cost nothing. And everybody agrees it would be a good idea, but you have to get it all approved by 3 entities to do that. And the police I talked to, they're like, it'll never happen, or it'll take a year and a half. So this is the world we live in. And it's a bizarro world. And I don't want to get used to it, because it's not going to last. It is very intense right now on all of us. All of our lives are disrupted, and they've been disrupted in different ways. And I think that I'm seeing the toll, after isolating a huge part of the population on Earth for 5, 6, 7, 8 months. If you're Australian, good God, go run through the wall at your White House or whatever it is, because I am just shocked. I'm going to stop here because I could go on forever. But the point is, my thought is, anything that you want to go through a system that is broken and corrupt, because it's all going to come up from the ground up. Trust me, when it's dealing with our money and our financial systems globally, that's not going to work. Okay. It's not going to be here. I don't know if it's going to take 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It'll go throughout that. And we're going to watch these happen. And then it's going to, all of a sudden, it's just going to do something where you are going to have that global reset piece to it. I don't know how all that plays out, but my thought was CZ or others that are players in the crypto business, where we essentially say, look, good, we had this come up last week and we're scared and fighting. It's going to ruin crypto. Let them pass it. Good luck with that. Good luck with that enforcement. We'll try to help you out on the DeFi side. NFT side, make sure you get your encryption up at the government, and we'll do a lot of the cold wallet shifts. I'm going to ask that guy who I was really a facilitator for. I'm a miner. What their name and social security number is. I'll get right on that. Good luck. Good luck with that. And you know what? What are they going to do? We are not doing anything wrong, folks. I'm all about helping and paying taxes. I'm not an anti-tax guy. I'm not trying to hide anything. I just don't want opportunities to change my world and so many others stripped away from me by ignorant people in a corrupt system. And it's time that those in a position where you can acknowledge this and have the balls to stand up. It's a joke. It's a joke. So immune, ignore. We're immune and we just ignore it. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do on the crypto? What are you going to do with, people that don't want to get a vaccination? Guess what? I'm not getting a fucking vaccination. It's my own choice. We're in America here. That's kind of going out the window all over the world with this issue. Why is it being pressed? I could talk about this forever, but the point of the matter is, guys and gals, I don't know. I don't care. I've got enough. I've got a great life. If I get cut off tomorrow, I'm happy. I'm not an angry man. I'm a very grateful man. And this stuff, though, there is a point where with like the vaccine passports and, trying to force me, what happened to my body, my choice? These are all coming in with this, look at what they did. They throw this crypto tax bill in the back of a freaking infrastructure bill that is only going to have 550 million out of a billion plus, or whatever it is, 550 billion out of a trillion. The numbers don't even matter anymore, guys. It's like, the smart ones are going to be rich. We're rich now and we're just going to get richer because we see it. And if we wanted to dodge this or that with the government, I have no interest in that shit. I just don't want nonsense taking money out of our opportunities, which is the biggest opportunity of the world and the history of mankind. And it actually, what I'm talking about is good for each of our respective governments. If we're creating enormous amounts of wealth and tax revenue, isn't that good for everybody? But nobody cares because we got a bullet to our, we've got a gun to our head everywhere. I think everybody instinctively knows it's all going to hell, being printed away. But they don't know what it is. And I think the common people, the poor people, the ones that have been really kicked in the teeth, those are the ones I want to start shifting my time and resources to, and I already have. And that's where the real gifts come. But I also know that the more I have in terms of resources, the more I can do. And so, if there's a politician or a regulator or something that thinks they want to teach me and some of the other professional, institutional or high net worth investors that have been doing this stuff a long time, give me a call. I'll listen. But guess what? I just don't need your help on this. Okay. Stay out of it and let us have access and quit trying to fearmonger. And people in these positions like CZ, I don't blame you for doing what you did, but when you cut two Bitcoin withdrawals, which is almost 100 grand for people that are not, not KYC'd and verified, and you're putting that force in because you're putting 0.06 or something, it's like $2,500 a day. Some of these people have stuck with this, and there's no way that you guys, didn't know that some folks were, VPNs and sticking around because you were helping them. You're helping people that are in these other countries or some that stuck around and now they can't even get their money out. It was very extreme. And I don't think you had to do that. And I don't think you wanted to do it either. But, the pressure that you're getting there, what are they actually going to do? A criminal matter, they target you, which you would have, I don't think it's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. And it's time that we pushed back and stood up. I hope some of this was helpful. I do want to maybe show you, just as we're closing up here, if the screen is actually happening, a few more of these, the BNB, when you have BNB at like 16, 17, 18 bucks, my third biggest position, and what is it now, 400? So you have a 40 bagger on the third biggest token market capitalization that exists. There's, with some of the stuff that I've got off, the different transactions, that some of them are very similar, to some of these. I don't know what all this, stuff is. There's triples, quadruples, 5 baggers, 8 baggers. I just isolated the ones that really stuck out to me and ones that I made incredible life-changing money on myself. And this is another one, like just another example. December, we came out and went DeFi big. INJ, $2, 2 and change. Orion, what do we get in there at? 2 and change. And then there's Unify. Well, T-Fuel's another one, and Theta. I'll get to that in a second. But Unify, there's a lot of action here. That was, when it got to USDT, it was $6, but I think in here it was like 3 when it was Bitcoin. So you got 2 and change and 3 and change. And then what do these do? And then I'm going to stop because this is just when you start adding this stuff up, you're talking about like people could put in, a lot of people can put in 5 to 10 grand in names like this. If they knew they had the access, like as Americans or other investors, instead of being scared about what? About what? And, it also keeps us from learning more because we're like, this is all going to get crushed, but it's not. They can't stop it, guys. That's the thing. At the end of the day, this is different. The governments can do all kinds of things to slow it down, perhaps. They cannot stop this. The world is going to be completely different in 5 to 10 years. I'm very excited for that. I'm really, feeling a lot of different feelings now before going into it. But, I think that we have to take back a little bit of our liberty and our dignity. So we have, just real quick, I'll go through the, the Unify, which was like 3 and change. And in that, boom, look at that. 3 and change in, whatever. Here's $3 in November, and you got $40 in late February. Wouldn't you know it? And this happened across the board for our portfolio. You've got the Orion. They basically mimicked themselves. You're talking about 5 to 10x on everything we did in all these names if you bought, before they started ripping and then chased things. And Orion's all the way back to 4. This, from $2, pretty similar return profile. And I think it was for the other one as well. But, there are so many of these that this happened with. And you have a lot of room for error when things go up 100. The biggest profit I booked was on Bakery Token when I did take that 1.5 cent paper. I bought it all in one day. It was 550,000 tokens, about 1.5 cents, 1.6, 1.4. I think it was probably 1.35 or 4. Say it's 1.5. When I sold some in the mid 7s, it was like 450, 475, I think is what it was, 470, 75 times my money. And that was in like 4.5 months, guys. 4 months. Can you believe that shit? This is like a dream. And I want people that are in my sphere of influence to benefit from this because this is never going to happen again, ever, for us. It's one point in time. I've seen this and bared a lot of really good fruit and just been grateful and blessed to be, in this case, for whatever reasons, have really done things differently than my older days when I would just blow myself up or get too aggressive and just do things wrong, not being correct and having a framework and things. This time is different. And I've been relaying these things, and a lot of people have had some life-changing things happen to them. But it's a small percentage. And a lot of it is with this bullshit where we actually have the ability. And this is where I say the slogans would be ignore and immune. I think that's a great combo when it comes to anything to do with any of this shit that is in existence and is getting worse. And the other thing would be stand up. There is no, people can come and stand up for what they believe in this digital world when you're not doing anything wrong. You're the head of an exchange, and this is going to be so big and a part of our life. Like Max Kaiser said the other day, I guarantee you, 5 years, like half of the Senate and the House they're going to own Bitcoin, and they're going to use crypto. It's like they just don't know it yet. So let's share that with them, and let's, those of us that did the work and have had some of the spoils, let's let them know. And if they don't want to, do anything to adjust, just pass the bills. And yeah, good luck with that. We'll see how that works out for you guys. Ciao.